We ain't done with the schedule yet. We're going to continue to go over this with Lance Briggs and Jerry Azumah on CHGO Bears After Dark starting right now. Let's go. Welcome back to another edition of CHGO Bears After Dark, presented by Circa Sportsbook and, of course, Empire Today. I am your host, Greg Bragg Jr. Alongside me, as always, is Jerry Azumah in studio. And, of course, Lance Briggs joins us early over in his palatial estates in Arizona. How we doing, guys? How we feeling?
Doing well.
We're back at it. Jerry, you were actually at the Bears Care Gala.
That's right.
Over last weekend, correct?
Last weekend, it was spectacular. Raised a lot of money.
Yeah,
it was nice.
How was that? We got a picture of you're looking pretty dapper.
Oh,
here.
you guys got the picture?
We got the picture here.
Well, you know, I like to clean up.
You got cleaned up, looking like James Bond.
Yeah, I like
here.
to look fresh.
Nice.
Don't get it twisted.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Zoom, how many of the galas have you been to?
Well over 10. Probably about 20 of them.
And you have an opportunity at those to kind of meet, alums,
to mingle
yes. with the alums, mingle with the new squad.
That's right.
So what were some of the vibes you got from, obviously Ben Johnson and the rest of the crew?
Yeah, really good vibes, positive vibes, a lot of smiles, a lot of laughs, a lot of drinks.
Yeah.
But I had an opportunity where I went to the locker room with the table that we were with. They bought an experience to go down to the locker room and hang out with Ben for a little bit. So on our way down there, I got the opportunity to, shake his hand and chop it up with him a little bit. And I tell you what, man, he's a sharp guy. He's a fun guy for sure.
Yeah.
Is he giving you 11, 12 win vibes?
He's giving me I don't know about that many. That's a lot, especially with this season. We're going to get into it. But he's definitely giving me some type of vibe. A winning vibe. A winning vibe.
Winning
sure.
vibe. What's a winning vibe? What is that? 5 wins?
It's a winning vibe. We'll talk about it as we get into it.
I mean, what do you mean by that? Because fans want to know. I mean, you guys have the truth serum.
Yeah.
You guys have been around a lot of different coaches, so you can't bullshit a bullshitter.
Right.
So you guys know. So I'm curious from your perspective. I mean, obviously you didn't get to go too far in depth, but just the way a guy carries himself, the way he's, handles a room with guys that have been there and done that for you. Explain that, the winning vibe or how he carries himself.
Well, he carries himself in a very positive attitude, obviously. I was able to just spend probably about 5 minutes with him. So I wasn't able to spend a lot of time with him, but he's assertive. He knows how to command a room. And he knows how to answer questions. So we were throwing a lot of tough questions at him, just to kind of see where his head was and what he felt with the Chicago Bears and with the team. And some of the answers were great. You know what I'm saying? He was on point, and he was just basically saying all the positive things that we know that a coach would say, especially in the offseason moving forward and headed towards a regular season.
Who else was in the room, just out of curiosity?
In the room was him. There was also obviously his security and things like that, but it was just basically him. And a lot of guys that were at the table that bought the experience got to chit chat and mingle with him as well. So their experience was just totally different than mine, obviously, because they're the ones that were the focal points that were, talking with Ben. Sure. But all the things that Ben was saying was just extremely positive. He didn't really go into his philosophies and things like that, but everything that he was saying was what you want to hear from a head coach.
Yeah.
Here's some perspective. Down at the University of Arizona, there's Brent Brennan. When I was in high school coming out to the University of Arizona for Dick Tomey, Brent Brennan was one of the graduate assistants coaching for him. So I've known him a long time, and he finally gets the job at the University of Arizona. And I played with his little brother. And so he puts together a great staff. I know him, so I know where, kind of, where we're kind of going, where we come from and where we're going. And I want nothing. I get great vibes from him. But what we do know in this game is, in order for him to stay, we have to win. So we can say all the best things, we can put together the best staff, but at the end of the day, you have to have enough W's in order to sustain. So, Jerry being in the room, with Ben Johnson and him saying and getting good vibes and all that good stuff, to me, it's one of those situations where it's like, man, I would love for this coach to get enough wins to sustain, to continue on and be that guy that takes the Bears to the championship or whatnot. So we don't want to win the offseason. You know what I mean? And we're enjoying it. The good vibes are a great thing, but at the end of the day, we need him to go out and collect enough W's to sustain.
And everybody is also high on him as well. I mean, everybody understands that he was with the Lions a year ago and what he did with that program and that organization. So everybody's very optimistic too. And he is as well. I mean, it's going to be a challenge for him to try to recreate that, here in Chicago. But, he's coming in and he's building a team. He's building an organization. It's his first year. There's going to be some highs and some lows, but he's embracing all of it. And he's not shying away from any type of criticism or any type of conflict or things like that. He's attacking it, and he's letting people know, exactly where he's coming from, and he's letting it right off his chest.
Well, and that's the $1 million question. I mean, is he going to be the next Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay, or is he the next Matt Nagy or Mark Trestman? Everybody's been in the sport, but only certain guys can command a room.
Right.
Certain guys can turn around a program and win games, and others can't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I know Briggs has talked about it many times when first time Mark Trestman spoke to the team, wasn't giving good vibes to the players. It's one thing to give good vibes to a meatball like me who's going to buy in no matter what at the start, but players can kind of see through things a little quicker. So
that's right.
I'm glad to hear that report back from the Bears Care Gala. And then it was there was some pictures flying around of the after party for Jerry. I don't know if I don't know if this is an accurate. I don't know if this is an accurate one.
Whoa! Look at that. That might not be me though.
He can never be sure. It could be anybody.
Oh my goodness! I think that was me about 20 years ago. Guns. That's when I had guns.
Yeah.
That picture's amazing, by the way.
Well, I was searching through his Twitter to get the pictures for the Bears Care Gala.
That was a vibe.
And a couple pictures down was his Cinco de Mayo picture. I was like, we got to bring that to the fold here today.
That's amazing.
There's a lot of tequila there. A lot of tequila and sunshine. So, all right, well, let's get into it. Obviously, we're going to talk about the schedule here today. It just was released yesterday and wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it. So here later in the show, we'll get their predictions. But want to, let's reveal the schedule here. I'll read through it, and then I want to discuss a few different topics before we get to your predictions. They play the Vikings week 1 at home. Then they go to the Lions at noon week 2. Week 3 against the Cowboys at home once again. And then week 4 in Vegas. We are going to be there, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be exciting. Another trip with True Fan Travel. That is out right now, so make sure you hit up truefantravel.com, search CHGO Bears, and you can sign up to come on that trip with us. We even got a cool graphic that we pulled up here to reserve your spot here today. When we went to London and Arizona last year, those trips were as good as it gets. They take care of the fans the right way, so make sure you come on out. Then, of course, an early bye week, week 5. Then you got Washington Commanders week 6 on the road on Monday Night Football. Then you got the Saints at home, the Ravens, and the Bengals back-to-back. That's going to be tough road games in late October, early November. Then, of course, the Giants at home, Vikings on the road, Steelers week 12 right before Thanksgiving, and then Black Friday against the Eagles on a short week on the road, and then followed up with another road game against the Green Bay Packers week 14, and then finishing up here in December with the Browns, the Packers at home, then the Niners on Sunday Night Football, and then to finish the season at home against the Lions, Ben Johnson finishing against his old team. Before we get into the predictions, though, wanted to start out with the bye week for you guys, and I'll start with you, Lance. How do you feel about this? Because this is obviously an early one. I think there's a couple ways I can look at this, but I'm curious your perspective on it. You're muted, Lance. I don't know if
I'm not sorry about that, fellas. I'm not a big fan of early bye weeks. A lot of things happen, during the season, and you kind of want to be in a position where the those initial minor to medium injuries that you can say, okay, listen, we have a bye week coming up around week 8, 9, or 10. Um, let's give him this week off, and then we'll get him in, start getting treatment. We'll have a bye week coming up. We'll use that bye week, and after that bye week, we'll maximize that following week until we can get him back onto the field. But what we want is to have a player that is healthy for the long run. If you have a bye week that's early, then any injury that comes after that, you don't have another bye week in order to buy him some time. So you're gonna have to put him on that IR, and to me, you're gonna lose more games. So the idea is, how can you leverage the bye week and the following week plus the week prior the best? And I think that's done during the middle of the season.
Lance, I mean, you're exactly right. And that puts a lot of pressure, obviously, on the coaching staff, and it puts pressure on, the medical staff as well, to make sure that guys are ready to go. So when you have a early bye, football is brutal. There's going to be injuries. Guys are going to get banged up. Guys are going to get nicked up. That's just what happens. And if you look at this schedule is brutal. It really is. Yeah. And it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. So if you have an early bye week, I mean, yes, you're going to get some guys that might be banged up early, but that's it. And then now you have to try to manage, the rest, your guys during the rest of the schedule, which is absolutely brutal. So it's not ideal having a bye week at week 5. We would like to have that somewhere in the middle or towards the later of the season. But this is just what it is. So they're just going to have to roll with it, and they're just going to have to manage it as it comes.
And what happens, Braggs, the other thing that happens is, let's say, that going into that bye, the Bears are the number 1 rushing team in the NFL. We get an injury to an offensive lineman, or injury to Swift or Monangai or whomever the starting running backs are. This is something that could set it back and say, okay, shoot, we're in a position where we're not as strong running the ball, in week 6 now that we were moving forward. We were the number 1 rushing team. So now, how do we make that adjustment? How do we either run the ball or we become a pass throwing team? So there's a lot that goes into it. Like Azumah said earlier, coaching and management plays a big part.
Well, and, the other aspect of this, too, is sometimes you can get a mini bye with a Thursday night game. The Bears don't play any Thursday night games this year. They do play a Friday game, so it's a little shorter of a mini bye, where you get extended, break before you play the Green Bay Packers, in late November, early December. So that's decent. But not exactly what, obviously you want that bye in the middle of the year. I guess my other rationalization is, and I heard Pat, the designer, talking about this, and he said maybe this is a good thing that the Bears have it in week 5. And his reasoning was because this is a first-year coaching staff, first-year offense, that they can, for 4 weeks, try to figure out what they're trying to do. And if things aren't exactly working the way they want, they get 2 weeks to kind of reconfigure how they want to approach the games. Is there any truth to that? I mean, you could do that any bye week, but does it help that it's a little earlier for these guys?
I think the best coaches, they know how to adjust. If you're at week 5 and you don't know, have an idea or a clue of where your team is going or headed, you probably shouldn't be in there coaching. So a mind like Ben Johnson, or you see, he got the job because of how great of an offensive mind he is. You know, him being able to bring in 2 tight ends, him being able to have 2 1,000-yard rushers, him being able to throw the ball all over the place, and create more points, score more points than anybody else in the NFL. That's why he got hired. You know, so by week 5 in the season, I expect him to know exactly what he wants to do and how to make the right adjustments.
I mean, there's some truth to that, but this is a brand new coaching staff, a brand new system, brand new players. Everything is brand spanking new. And chances are things are going to go wrong. You know, they're probably going to have some highs and they're going to have some lows as well. Those few couple of games, I mean, they start off with the Vikings, they start off with the Lions. These are 2 teams right off the bat that are in your division. You know what I'm saying? And the easiest way to get into the playoffs is be strong in your division. So they got to come out right away and be ready to play against the Vikings and the Lions. So hopefully they're able to put some things together.
So how much is Ben Johnson getting paid this year?
A lot.
13?
Yeah,
about 13 something million, right?
Stacks.
All right, I'm paying him 13 million so that he can figure it out. I'm gonna need you to figure it out. All right, the 13 million. I don't want to know about if this is year 1 for you as a Chicago Bears head coach. We've gone through a lot. I need 13 million to make sense. Make it make sense.
I think a lot of this has to do with Caleb Williams too. Like Caleb is in his 2nd year, and it's kind of, I guess, like his 1st year, but it's not really. It's his 2nd year. I mean, he's had multiple, offensive coordinators and so on and so forth. But the key to victory is going to be with Caleb Williams. I mean, he's going to have to come up and step up. I want him to I want to see leaps and bounds from him this year. I want to see him throwing the ball all over the place and making really good decisions and eliminating mistakes. So with Ben Johnson, yes, we are paying him a stack to get everybody correct and put things in alignment. But it comes down to Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has to take off in year 2 and be the Caleb Williams that we know that he's capable of being, because he is that number 1 pick. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So just like Johnson, he's that number 1 pick. So we're expecting a lot from Caleb, and he has to come and show and prove.
He's well invested, because I'm pretty sure he bought a house for about $8 million on the North Shore. So listen, that means he's here to stay.
No doubt about it. I'm also curious, obviously the Bears play on a lot of primetime games. Did you guys like playing in primetime? I mean, you're on the national stage, but you have to wait, like Sunday night, maybe a little better, like waiting. The first game of the year, you're waiting all the way till Monday Night Football. Was that something that you enjoyed doing? Jerry, I'll start with you, Jerry.
It's the beginning of the season, Monday Night Football, Vikings in the division. You want to wake up and play some football. So now you got to wait around till Monday night. But I love Monday Night Football games. I mean, everyone's watching. Lance, we used to say in the locker room, your mama's watching. All your mama's friends are watching. She at the salon, and all your mama friends are watching you. So you got to go out there and show and prove. So I didn't mind, primetime spots. I loved it because I knew that we were in the spotlight, and that's when you want to be at your best, and and you know that all eyes are on you. So I love the primetime spot.
I'm not a big fan of waiting to play. I want to get up and play football, wake up, play football, and then have the rest of the day to kind of decompress. But playing under the lights, it's a different feeling. And even when you walk out on that field in pregame, and you see all the strings and the camera that's rotating all over the field, and
it's amazing.
You have the big press boxes that are set up on the side of the field. It's a really cool feeling, and knowing that everybody's watching. It certainly raises your awareness and level of play.
Yeah, I can imagine that was an adrenaline pump. And to your guys' point, I'm sure the night games were also tougher on you guys for rehab. If you're going through certainly later in the season, and then the game ends at midnight, and now whatever you have to do to kind of rehab from the battle you just went through, I'm sure is a lot tougher than doing it in the day. I think from a fan's perspective, at least for me, I've always liked the night game, because now I get to watch the full slate of games without, the Bears give my full concentration, and then win or lose, that's going to dictate my emotion for the rest of the day. And so to have it pushed back where I can just, the Packers and Lions play on Sunday week 1, and I don't have to wait I don't have to be distracted by, the, lunacy of watching a Bears game. You guys, you're going to find out this year, Jerry.
Plus,
Lance.
tailgating is longer too.
Right. Tailgating's longer. You got that right. So I'm a little more in the bucket. And
I think I have a bottle of tequila and some empty shot glasses somewhere.
You're gonna
I'll bring it from Monday night since we have all night long.
You're going to find out this year, Jerry. I get very emotional watching Bears games. Lance saw it last year.
Yes, you do.
Full transparency, 100%.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm a lunatic. I have problems.
Full delusion.
Yeah, full of delusion, no question about it. Hopefully, we're living in Delulu land here this off season. But want to take a quick timeout. When we come back on the other side, these guys are going to give their predictions on the schedule. But first, got to give a shout out to our friends over at Circa Sportsbook. Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game, Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. And, of course, make sure you're betting on the Cubbies here this summer. They're rolling right now. They're in first place. So feeling good about that. And
long way to go.
Make sure, hey, yes, we got a long summer ahead of us. The ball's been flying out of the yard early, and the summertime always brings more home runs, so can't wait to see that from our Cubbies. But download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We certainly will be hitting up Circa Sportsbook in Vegas when we're heading to Vegas week 4 of the NFL regular season. Be throwing down some bets there as well. Also, have to give a shout out to our friends over at Empire Today. Just like your favorite team needs a home field advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've all been to those big box stores, wandering endlessly around the aisles, then somehow you're hauling all these materials home, looking for an installer and coordinating everything yourself. It's not easy. The big box stores might have a flooring department, but that person helping you with flooring may have been laying brick the day before, doesn't know what he's talking about. You want to make sure you get with Empire Today because they live and breathe flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ball game. Pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space. See how it looks with your furniture in your house. That's exactly what they do. They give precise measurements taken and have all your questions answered, so there are no surprises. With Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. So make sure you schedule a free in-home estimate today because things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard that right, a $350 discount with code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details. All right, guys, moving things along here on CHGO Bears After Dark. Please hit that like button while you're hanging out in the chat. We appreciate you guys, as always, tuning in to After Dark with Lance Briggs and Jerry Azumah. Lance, I'm going to start with you. We're going to go through the schedule. We're going to get each of your predictions, and then I'll probably yell at you guys about why you're wrong.
Here we go.
But I've always been wrong, so we know this. So let's start it out hot, Lance. Week 1, we got the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football, and take it from there.
I like the Bears in this game. The Vikings lose Sam Darnold. You know, they're going with J.J. McCarthy. This is an exciting first game to get everybody in Delulu land excited about the Bears and their new direction.
Yeah. Okay. Well, keep rolling through it. You got the rest of the schedule at your disposal.
Okay.
Why don't you let us know how you got it?
Okay. All right. Obviously the game number 2 I have as a loss. I just think that's a game where, you know, Dan Campbell, he kind of puts lays Ben across his lap and gives him an old school, you know, butt whooping. And I see week 3 as as one of my tweener games. That I think the Bears definitely can win. Who knows how that's going to actually come out? But I'm going to say the Bears find a way to win that game. Week 4 against the Raiders. That's a game that the Raiders still have to prove that. Still have to prove that you can beat even us. So I have the Bears winning that game as well. Going into the bye, 3-1.
You got Ashton Genty, week 4 in Vegas too. So that'll be a fun matchup. So yeah, you got 3-1 Bears going into the bye.
Yes,
I like that.
On top of that, you have Chip Kelly.
Yeah, you got Chip Kelly over there as well.
He's gonna put something together now. I know a little bit about that.
Yes, you do. That's fine. Listen. And I like Chip too. You know what I mean? Philly wasn't one of his best stops though. Let's go to week 6.
He did win a championship last year.
Week 6. I think a lot of people kind of may write the Bears off on this one, but this is a game that was literally won and lost in the last few seconds of the game. The Bears played this game pretty well. They kept it tight. They had an opportunity to win. I think they'll have an opportunity to win again this year. Week 7. Do you have that scheduled? Yeah, week 7 against the Saints. I think this is a game the Bears certainly can win. I think the Saints are in a turnaround. They're in a rebuild, and you need to strike hot while the iron is hot. Now, week 8. I just don't see it happening against the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, shoot, somebody tell me if I'm wrong, but the Baltimore Ravens have one of the best unique run games in the game, really tailored around Lamar Jackson. And to beat Lamar Jackson is throwing the ball better than he ever has in his career.
Yeah,
week 9
against Derrick Henry, too. 2-year extension here for $30 million for Derrick Henry.
Yes.
Roquan also is over there, too.
No doubt. Week 9, this is one of the swing games I have. A lot of people look at the Bengals. They signed Higgins. They have a hell of a receiving core over there. But, and obviously Hendrickson on the defensive side. But I do still see this as a game. I don't see consistency in the Bengals. I didn't see any consistency with them in their play last year, which resulted in them not getting into the playoffs, And so I see this as a game that the Bears can win if the Bears are where we hope they'd be by week 9.
Dang, Lance, you've got them 7-2 through the first 9 games.
Whoa.
And I'll tell you right now, Lance, if that is happening, I am streaking down Lakeshore Drive. I'm not just going to be happy. I'm going to be throwing a parade.
That's amazing, Lance.
No, wait. I said these are swing games.
No.
So you got to say on all of the swing games, look at it from as an L as well. All right, look at it as an L as well. Okay.
Wait, what are we doing here?
Cheating.
What are we doing here?
Pick one.
Either they win or they lose.
Best.
All right, time out. Let's rewind. Steven, let's rewind. This is rewind. We'll put an S next to these, but you got to pick one. You got to pick one, Lance. So let's go back through your swing games. Dallas is a swing game.
Dallas.
Washington.
Wait. Before we do that, is that a win or a loss, Lance? Dallas.
Dallas is
week 3.
That's a win.
Okay. That's a win. Okay.
Washington,
here we go.
Was that a swing game for you?
Washington's a loss.
Okay.
A loss.
It's a swing game, though.
Then the Bengals.
The Bungles is a loss.
Okay.
All
right.
Here we go. Now we're getting somewhere.
A couple more losses here. Instead of 7-2. Instead of 7.
Okay.
I know. I was getting excited there for a second.
Okay. Well, hey,
a lot of Kool-Aid.
Get excited for this next one because we're definitely beating the New York Giants. We doggone better find a way to do it.
Super excited about that.
All right. That's all I'm going to say. Let's move on to 11. The Vikings. I think we're going to split. I think we're going to split all of our NFC North games. At best, we can split them. So if we take one, we'll lose this next one at Minnesota. The Steelers, this is a swing game. All right. They don't have a quarterback. All right. They don't have a quarterback. They have Mike Tomlin. By week 12, maybe he figures it out. I don't know. This is a swing game.
He does.
I say this is an L, but this could potentially be a W. 13.
What the hell is it?
He says it's an L
What
right
the
now.
L?
What the L is it? What the
It's
L
an
is
L?
it? There it
Okay,
is.
move on.
All right. Week 13, the Philadelphia Eagles. You guys know what that is. All right. Like we talked about earlier, they can tush push. They can run tush push all day and probably beat us. All right. Let's go to Green Bay. In Green Bay, I've got Green Bay. All right. However, these next two games, the 15th and the 16th, Browns. I have the Browns. I have us beating the Browns. It's a swing game, and I have us beating the Packers at home.
All right.
Week 17, I think this is a swing game. I think this is a game that we should be able to beat. The Niners, they are a decimated team. They lost a lot of their star power. I think we can beat this team right now. As of right now, who knows what Week 17 will bring. And then, of course, Week 18 is the huge finale. Ben Johnson gets his revenge and finally beats Dan Campbell.
Okay, Steven,
Wow.
did you get that? Did we get the total there?
So if San Francisco was a win, it's 9-8. If that's a loss, it's 8-9.
All right.
Okay.
So
There you go.
Okay.
what are you picking then in the San Francisco game?
Oh, it could be. Oh, it'd be 8-9 or 9 or 8. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, no. You got to pick. You gotta,
Come on now,
you
Lance.
Gotta pick one, Lance.
Pick it.
All right, we beat the Niners. We beat the Niners.
9-8.
Okay.
9-8. Winning
9
record.
and 8. Wow.
All right, that's interesting. You guys were talking before we went on the air about the tush push,
Yes.
and there was some disagreement going on. So Jerry, you're for the tush push because I'm vehemently against it.
Yeah, I'm for the tush
Why are you
push.
against it, Briggs?
Well, right now it's a part of football, so you got to be able to defend it. Look, realistically, when you look at the tush push and you look at like the alignment of the offensive linemen, they're lined up in the neutral zone, okay, which is a penalty. So if they officiate it correctly, I feel that right now the offense is taking advantage of the rules because they're crowding the line of scrimmage, they're up in the neutral zone, and the officials are letting them get away with that. So if the officials basically threw a flag and said, wait a minute, you can't line up in the neutral zone and crowd that ball, and same with the center, because he's crowding the ball as well, you have to give a little bit of room there. That's why it's the neutral zone. So if they officiate it the right way and bring those guys back to their regular alignment, I think that it gets very competitive from there.
Yeah. I mean, Lance, for me, you asked me why I'm against it. It just reminds me. It like gives me flashbacks of the tush push with Reggie Bush against the Fighting Irish back in the early 2000s. You're not allowed to line up behind a guy and push him at the line of scrimmage. I don't mind when there's a scrum down the field if a guy catches the ball or if a running back gets 10, 15 yards downfield and then there's a rugby push. But at the line of scrimmage, I don't think that you should be allowed to line up behind the running back or the quarterback and push forward because defensive guys, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
You can't do it.
You guys aren't allowed to. You're not allowed to line up behind Lance and push him. The special teams guys on a field goal block, you're not. They used to do this where they'd make a wedge and they'd just push the guy as far forward as they can to block the field goal. So those two things need to be eliminated, and then you can go ahead and do this all you want. But you should not be able to push someone behind and give them more momentum.
Well, first of all, with the whole push thing, I think it got implemented because of player safety, right? So if it's about player safety, then it should go both ways. Like if the defense can't push because of player safety, then the offense should not be able to push because player safety too.
Right? But now I agree with that 100%. That was the argument I was going to make. But Braggs, you started it with a personal emotion of why you don't like the tush push, and I vehemently disagree with that. However, it started with player safety, and I'm all good with the tush push offensively. If defensively, we can tush push on special teams and however we want to do it as well. Just be fair, just like Zoom said, be fair both sides, because if it is a player safety issue, then it's an issue on the offensive side as well as the defense.
And I think that's a really strong point of emphasis too. Like the NFL, if they are practicing player safety and they're talking about it at all times, it should always go both ways. A big one that I think also with player safety is contact to the face and head and neck area. As a defender, I can't play a wide receiver and jam him in his face or anything like that. I can't, rush the passer and jam them in their face. You just can't do that. But if I have a ball and I'm a running back and the guy's coming full speed, I can literally punch him in the face. So if this is all about player safety, have it go both ways.
Right.
I mean, you can still be tough and push defenders away by like putting your hand on a pad or something like that. But to literally decleat a guy, get him off of his feet by punching him in the face, and then talking about, well, defensive players can't do that because of player safety. Like, there is a huge issue there, and I think the NFL needs to address that.
Okay. All right. So I think we found some middle ground there. So Briggs has got the Bears at 9-8 with a winning record. So progress from the 5 wins last year. He's got 5 swing games. So
whatever the hell that is.
Steven, when we make this graphic for Briggsy to tweet out,
I'm gonna make like 5 or 6.
Yeah, make like 8 of them.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to put a slash.
I mean, they're all swing games.
Yeah, and then,
one big
W,
S.
L, or S.
Yeah, with a question mark. Yeah, 9-8 question mark. All right, so let's get to it then. Jerry, you're up. Let's get to your schedule.
Here we
prediction.
go. Mind you, the Chicago Bears lost 10 games in a row last year.
I will not mind you. For
so
that.
let's put things in perspective. We got to do that. They won their last game.
I drank so much whiskey, I will never remember that for the rest of my life.
But they are undefeated in 2025.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So, okay, so new coaching staff. And obviously, we start off the season Monday Night Football with the Vikings. I'm going to go win. I think that
there you go.
I think it's important for the Bears to come out aggressively and say, you know what? This is a brand new team, a brand new system. Ben Johnson's not messing around. Caleb is not messing around. The Bears as an organization is not messing around.
Well,
and we are going to.
You're going up against a quarterback in his first game.
Right, J.J.
at
McCarthy.
Soldier Field.
Right, and I think that he's eventually going to be a good pro, but right now I think the spotlight is too big for him, and I think the Bears put up a dominant performance week 1.
You can't lose that game if you're Caleb, right? I mean, you're playing.
They're going to dominate them.
You're paying J.J. McCarthy. You both were drafted in the same class. He was injured all of last year.
That's right.
You got a year of experience under your belt. You really can't. I know they don't play each other. Yeah. It's not offense versus offense, but at the same time, just from an optics standpoint, you got to beat your guy. You got to beat the guys that were in your class, right?
And I have them beating the hell out of them. So that is a win. Ain't no swing there. So now we go to week 2 at the Lions. So I feel like the Lions, obviously, they're a really good football team, but they've lost a lot too. They lost a lot of good coaching staff, you know what I'm saying, that put this team together. So I think that this is going to be a battle. They are at Detroit, and I have Detroit just squeaking by and beating the Bears.
Okay.
The Cowboys in week 3. Oh, man, the Cowboys, a star. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, I think that this is a letdown for the Chicago Bears at home, so I'm going to go with a loss. You know, I really didn't want to do that, but
you don't like the Cowboys?
I think that the Cowboys, for some odd reason, I feel like this is going to be a letdown for the Chicago Bears at home. And it's going to be against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are going to steal one from the Chicago Bears.
Do you have like a personal beef with the Cowboys?
No, I hate the Cowboys. I don't like them. I've never liked
the
Cowboys.
Great games against the Cowboys.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that there's going to be a slight letdown, and the Cowboys are going to sneak in a win. So now we go to the Raiders at the Raiders in Vegas. I think that we stop Genty, and we come away with a big W there. Obviously, we go into the bye week.
Mm-hmm.
So at the bye week, we are 2-2.
Okay.
Go into the bye week, and then come out of the bye week, and we have the Commanders at the Commanders on Monday Night Football. Yep. The stage is set. Like, this is just beautiful. If you can't get hyped up for this game, you should not be in the NFL. I think the Bears come out. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, but I think the Bears finally put this one away. And I think that they put it away decisively in the fourth quarter.
All right. I like it.
Yes. I'm going week 7. Week 7, the Saints. Yeah, the Bears are going to take business there.
So just like last year, the Bears start 4-2 on the season, and this is where they did that thing that you mentioned right before you started the schedule. The thing that I will not mention because I'll start screaming. But they started 4-2, and then something happened last year.
Something happened real bad.
6 wins already.
And it's going to start again right now. So week 8, At the Ravens are going to be an unbelievable team, I think, next year. Like Lance said, their running game is unstoppable right now. They just gave Henry an extension. You know, you have Action Jackson back there. You know what he's all about. And you have wide receivers that can do some damage down the middle of the football field. Then also their defense is strong, too. Their defense is always just strong. So I don't see the Bears getting past them in Week 8. Week 9, the Bengals. So the Bengals had like ups and downs last year, man. They were just kind of all over the place. And I don't really know how they're going to bounce back to this, but they do have Burrow back there. You know what I'm saying? They have Chase back there. You know, they have some talent over there on the offensive side of the football. So I'm going to say it's going to be a battle, but I see the Bears losing this one at the Bengals.
Okay.
Right. The Giants are at home, thank God, because we get some revenge. So we get a W on the Giants.
There you go.
And then we go to the Vikings. So this is going to be tough. Divisional game. I'm going to go with the loss right there. I think they split with the Vikings. They win week 1, and then they split in week 11 and they lose. So now we got the Steelers. And I don't know who they have over there. They have DK, right?
DK. Yeah, they traded George Pickens to Dallas.
Yeah, he's gone. Who's their quarterback?
We don't know yet.
We don't know.
That's going to be the interesting thing, guys. I mean, there's a chance right now that Aaron Rodgers could potentially be their quarterback.
It's ashwagandha, yes.
Well, whoever it is, we're going to beat them. All right, so I have the Bears getting the W there at the Steelers. Oh, I'm sorry. There's the letdown.
Oh,
the letdown happens.
Just pulled
yes,
against
the Steelers. So we lost against the Vikings. We will lose against the Steelers with the letdown.
Oh boy!
You know, Tomlin's gonna just pull a bunny out of his hat and find a way to win. And then you have the Eagles on Friday. Yeah, I'm gonna go with another loss. So they're on a 3-game skid right here.
Oh no,
it's
not
tough.
again.
But then you have the Packers at the Packers, and I feel like they're going to switch things around.
Okay.
You know, they're going to reevaluate some things, and they're going to go down to Packerland and get that W.
Just like earlier this year. So
that's
they're
right.
Now 2-0 in 2025 against Green Bay.
So they slid for 3 games, but now they go to the Packers and they get that W.
Okay.
So then we have the Browns in Week 15. Yeah, I'm going to go with the W for the Chicago Bears. Like, they should take care of business
9
there.
wins.
No, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7. Briggs.
7 wins.
Briggs.
So then we have the Packers on a Saturday. I think there's going to be a little bit of a letdown here.
Oh, boy.
I mean, the Packers, they figure some things out, and they find ways to win. And I think this is going to happen here late in the season. I think the Bears are going to lose a tough one on a Saturday against the Packers. But the next week at the 49ers are going to come back on Sunday Night Football and light it up.
Okay.
And they're going to get that W there. And then now we're at Week 18 against the Lions.
At home.
So it's set up. It's at home. I think the Bears lose this game.
Oh, no.
I think the Bears lose this game.
Oh, boy.
I feel like this is a really good starting point and a good season overall, but I feel like Ben Johnson is going to fall to Campbell. I like Campbell with the Lions, and I like everything that the Lions are going to put together late in the season and do a playoff run. So I have them losing this game.
Okay. So
it's very unfortunate.
8 and 9 for Jerry, 9 and 8 for Briggs with 5 swing games. I think Jerry had.
Hopefully, I'm wrong.
Jerry had 1 swing game to Briggs's 5. I had 2 we had our schedule prediction show last night. If you haven't had a chance to check it out with Adam Hogan, Mark Carmen, I had 2 different schedules, and I had one where the Bears go 11-6.
Wow.
That's best case scenario. And then I had another schedule where the Bears go 4-13 because it's the Bears, and they're impossible to predict. They're last year they start 4-2. Lance, last year they start 4-2.
They did.
And they were supposed to win 9 games. How many games could have, should have won throughout? They should have beat the Vikings, the Packers,
Commanders,
and the Lions, and the Commanders. And they just screw up at the very end, or else they have 9 wins last year. and I'm doing the Braggs math. And so I find my way to 11 wins, just like last year I had 10 wins for them. But then I also have to just take into account that there's a chance they only win 4 games because it's the Bears. And I don't know.
How many games did they win last year?
5.
I'm going to do some Briggs math. And it's a little similar to probably Zoom math. You probably should have crumbled that 11 win at whatever that 11 win season. Throw that sucker out. Throw that sucker out.
Here's the thing to think about also is that let's say that the Bears won 5 extra games last year, right? Yeah. Does this coaching staff change? Like, we're still with Eberflus, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And things are looking a little different. Like, so right now, let's just look at it as a blessing that we hit the reset button and we're going into this thing fresh with a new coaching staff and some new players that they want on their team. And they're building, it feels like they're building this thing the right way.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
I think the things that I like about the schedule, obviously, I think there is a pathway to starting 3-1, maybe at worst 2-2 to start the year before the bye. If they can be 3-1, they put themselves in a really good spot where you've got some games after the bye, like we mentioned against the Saints, to be able to maybe extend and get to where you were to start last year, which was 4-2. To end the year, you have 3 of your 4 games at home in December to end. And then the other thing that I like about it is you have 3 games where I feel like with the Saints, the Giants, and the Browns that you should win those games. And those are all spread out. They're not like sandwiched. Like last year, they had all their easy games like right at the start of the season, the Titans and the Panthers, like all right away win, and you never know any given Sunday. But with the Saints, the Giants, and the Browns, you get one in October, one in November, one in December. So no matter what's happening at that course, depending on how the Bears are doing, you kind of have a moment there where you can reset and potentially beat a team that you should beat on paper.
Right.
The other thing too is when you look at that Washington game, guys. Last year, Caleb got himself way too hyped up for that game. It's his hometown. He's got his whole family there. He wants to beat Jaden Daniels. Obviously everybody in your class, you want to make sure you show. I mean, Lance has talked about it. The guys that were drafted ahead of him, even the ones that were on his own team, he wanted to show, hey, there's a chip on your shoulder there. And so I think Caleb is competing not just for the game, but against the guy across from him. Way too amped up. I think he's got to find a way to dial himself in for that game because they had a good finish to the Washington game, but the first half was abysmal.
Yeah,
they couldn't have played worse. They couldn't have played worse in that first half of that game, and mostly in the first half of every game this season, including, every first drive last year. They did not score a touchdown on the first drive of any game.
It was a long time.
Of any game last year.
It's
they
amazing.
did not score a touchouchdown.
You're the number 1 pick. Whether you're overhyped or whatever it is, you're playing quarterback. You gotta be able to have poise under pressure. You know what I mean? That's what you're out there for. And this is your moment. You know what I mean? Don't allow the moment to be too great for you. And I think when we talked earlier about primetime games, your mom is watching. You know what I mean? Your cousins, everybody's watching you. They're watching you do something they've seen you do since you were a little kid. This comes firsthand. Football's the passion. So I disagree with being overhyped. Because once you get in between those lines and you get ready to snap, you're making that call, you're making your reads. Now it just falls back on your fundamentals.
And it's not just Caleb. I mean, it came down to one play. You know what I'm saying? Like, they did everything. They had highs and lows during that game, but it came down to one play. And one team just executed it better than the other.
One play that took 10 years off my life.
Yeah, and you had the odds were in your favor to win that game. All you have to do is just lock in and be focused on that last play, and the game is over. And that's not what happened.
Well, you guys are 100% right, because the coach gets some blame for this as well. Because on that drive, there was a play that happened before the Hail Mary that Eberflus said it doesn't matter. And when on the flip side, the Commanders head coach, he says, "Oh, the play before had everything to do with what we did on the last play." You know what I mean? That was the most critical play. and leading to our Hail Mary win. So yeah, you're right. It's way beyond just Caleb Williams.
Well, and that's why Dan Quinn still has a job in Washington, and Matt Eberflus is now the defensive coordinator in Dallas, and the Bears are going to see Dallas week 3. So, I mean, that's kind of the other aspect I look at is the quarterbacks that they have to go up against this year. Jared Goff twice, Jordan Love twice, Dak Prescott, obviously Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, potentially Aaron Rodgers,
Brock Purdy
at the end of the year. So that's a lot of different quarterbacks that Caleb's going to have to match.
That's right.
And that's no easy task, but we'll see if the Bears are up to it. The final question I had from you, just from a schedule standpoint, is the Bears do play the Cincinnati Bengals, and Trey Hendrickson is going through a contract dispute, with Cincinnati. It's starting to get kind of ugly.
Yeah, it's starting to get intense.
Yeah, where they're trading words now through the media, and Trey has said it's personal. So, Jerry, I'll ask you, there was once upon a time where the Bears brought in Julius Peppers, they brought in Khalil Mack, and that certainly put a lot of, added boost to the roster. Do you think the Bears should trade for Trey Hendrickson?
I mean, it's interesting because our defensive coordinator, Allen, right? He's the one that basically brought in Trey, I believe. You know, so he knows Trey. I think it'd be malpractice to not look into this, deeper. Kick the tires around, definitely. But this coaching staff, what I'm understanding is that they feel extremely comfortable right now. I think that in free agency, their priority was the offensive line, and they attacked it heavy. Obviously, you can add and bolster that with some depth, and that's what we want to see. But on the defensive side, I feel like they're okay. I feel like they're looking at their across the board on their D-line, and they're saying to themselves, we have guys that we believe in. We have guys that we drafted that we want to see elevate. I think that they're really high on people like Booker. I want to see Booker take off. I think that he has a special ability, especially with this defense that they're trying to run, to be, very productive in this defense. So, I think they should definitely take a look at him. But in training for him or getting him to the team, I don't know. It's a big. I think it's a little. I don't know if it's necessarily the right fit right now for what they're trying to do.
How about you, Lance? How are you feeling about Trey?
I think right now, just like Jerry said, that the Bears they're happy with their picks. They have to see what they have. Let's find out what we have first. The Bears traded for Montez Sweat, halfway through the year. Does it have to be something that you have to go get him right now? Are we in danger? Is there an injury? Or do we have a group of guys that we want to go out and see exactly what we have? People talk about, going out and getting Nick Chubb at running back. But if you go out and get Nick Chubb right now, you're saying you have no confidence in the guys that you brought in to add to the run game right now that we currently have. Let's find out what we have. Let's see if Monangai can be that guy. We drafted him. Let's give him every opportunity to show him that he can be our strong in the run game. Maybe Roshan Johnson. Let's give these guys an opportunity before we reach out and say, hey, it's an emergency. We need to get another player.
Yeah, that's why the draft is so important. Draft capital is so important. You make these draft picks, you see what they got, you develop them, and you hope that they become stars on your team. So we have a lot of guys. I mean, I think that the Bears did a phenomenal job in the draft. So now it's time to go into OTAs and then to training camp to see exactly what we have. Go into the preseason, see what we got, and then if we need to make adjustments and we need to trade for picks or for a defensive lineman, then we go ahead and do it at that time. But right now, I feel like we're set.
Yeah. One of the things too that you're missing out too on this is coaching. Ben Johnson, the group of guys that he's brought in, I'm sure that they are ultimately they're very confident in how they can coach these guys. Hey, give me some capable guys. I can coach them up to be, good or decent to good players or good to great players if you give me an opportunity. So let's see what the coaching staff, let's see what these players can do before we say, okay, this guy's not going to work. We got to go get somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And that
Agreed.
brings us, this is a good segue. to our award-winning segment, Da Bets. Absolutely. Presented by Circa Sports. We're breaking down our picks from around the NFL, getting our lines from Circa Sports Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Once again, must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's start out with the AFC North then. As we were talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, we're going to get into some division odds here as we get through the rest of this summer, as we're starting to hit the lower period. OTAs coming up next week, minicamp, but we're going to start talking about some divisional odds. So let's start with the AFC North, Jerry.
Yeah.
And you got the Browns at plus 3,500. I don't know if they're going to win it. Obviously,
win?
No, yeah, to win the division. So you get a lot of money if you lay some stacks down on the Browns.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Ravens are the odds-on favorite. And then you got the Bengals right there in between. But the Steelers I do find interesting at plus 700 without, a quarterback right now. But
to win?
Yeah, to win the division, plus 700. And as you mentioned before, Mike Tomlin always has his teams above 500.
Yeah.
Always seems to find a way to get the Steelers into the playoffs no matter their quarterback situation. And there's a very strong likelihood that Aaron Rodgers ends up being their quarterback. So when you see that, to win the division, obviously, tall order against Lamar Jackson.
Right.
So I'm curious where your headspace is there.
Well, my head is not there at all. At all. Because they do not have a quarterback right now. I mean, they're playing we don't know, maybe. They don't have a quarterback right now. Mm-hmm. They do have DK Metcalf, but Pickens is gone also. Mm-hmm. Obviously, on the defensive line, they have some studs there. They have some studs on the defense in general. And they have Tomlin, who hasn't had a losing season since when? Since forever. So there's something to be said about that. But right now, the most important position on the football team right now is something that the Steelers do not have, and that's a quarterback. So if Rodgers were to come, it's going to take him some time.
It also doesn't mean he's the answer. It also doesn't mean he's the answer. Just because Rodgers becomes your quarterback doesn't equate to you winning football or winning football season. It didn't happen with the Jets.
Yeah. It did not happen with the Jets. Right. So the Steelers, I feel like they are going to play tough for Tomlin, obviously. But in terms of them winning against, the Ravens and the Bengals, I just don't see it happening. I do think that the Bengals bounce back this season. I think Burrow gets back on track with Chase. I think that they're going to be very productive offensively and defensively too. They lost a lot of close games last year. Like if the ball didn't bounce their way last year, and if it did, like their season is completely different. Yep. Literally, they lost games by like an inch. Yeah. So I think that they're going to correct a couple of things, and I think I would put my money on the Bengals to win that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So not the favorites, the Ravens. Lance, you got any thoughts on the AFC North before we move on?
Well, until they're able to consistently protect Burrow in Cincinnati, they're going to have issues. It doesn't matter how many weapons you have. The biggest difference last year and the year before for the Bengals was how many times Burrow gets hit a game. Yep. You can't get the ball off if you're on the ground.
Yeah, no question. And then, of course,
that'd be tough.
My Steelers that I think are an intriguing option if Aaron Rodgers does go there. I think it is a good fit. Now, they got rid of George Pickens, so they're kind of thin at wide receiver. They do have DK Metcalf coming in from over in Seattle. Robert Woods is their second wide receiver, Calvin Austin, and then Pat Freiermuth at tight end. Yeah. Mason Rudolph right now is their quarterback. They have Jalen Warren as a running back, but they also drafted Caleb Johnson out of Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
So we always know that running back is a strength in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin will know how to get the best out of those guys. But if it's Mason Rudolph at quarterback, you can take that plus 700 and throw it in the same garbage you throw in my 11-6 prediction.
Why do you think that if the Steelers got Rodgers, then he is kind of the magic to make it all happen and that they'll be in a better situation?
Well,
isn't Rodgers 40?
Yeah, because he scares me is really what it is.
Still?
Yeah.
What has he done in the past 2 years to scare you?
He's just scarred me, so I always am going to have the utmost respect. Before we get to the other division, though, I want to give a quick shout-out to our diehards. Make sure you go to allchgo.com/diehard to sign up for exclusive written content by Adam Hogue and many others that cover all the sports here at CHGO Sports. And, of course, you get discounts on events like our tailgates for the season and, of course, our trip to Viva Las Vegas. Here coming up for our guys. So
always bet on black.
That's right.
Always.
TrueFanTravel.com. Make sure you hit us up. Come on our road trip to Las Vegas. Appreciate you guys as we hit overtime here on the CHGO Sports, CHGO Bears After Dark podcast. We appreciate you guys always. One more division to get to on Da Bets, and that, of course, is with Da Bears. Got to go with our NFC North here and see what we got. Now that the schedule is out, now that the roster is pretty much set, and we're here in the summer, let's look at the NFC North. The Bears are plus 415 to win the division. The Lions, obviously, as the defending NFC North champs, are the favorites at plus 152. The Packers at plus 240. And then the Vikings have the worst odds to win the division at plus 425 with J.J. McCarthy coming in there. And, hey, you saw how they were able to have a renaissance with Sam Darnold. So Kevin O'Connell certainly, even with Josh Dobbs, a couple years ago, he played okay.
He played well.
Kevin O'Connell knows how to coach quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And as you said, I think it won't be long before J.J. McCarthy is playing well in this league.
I think he's going to be a good pro also.
Yeah, I agree. And he's set up. When you talk about guys set up in a perfect situation, I think he certainly is. So, Jerry, where do you got this? Are you putting any stacks on the Bears?
Yes, I'm putting the stack on the Bears.
Uh-oh.
I mean, if you look at this team and how it's constructed and everything that's been put together, I feel like they have a shot. Now, granted, their schedule is extremely tough. We understand that.
Yep.
And I do have the Bears splitting against the Vikings and the Packers, and I have them losing 2 games to the Lions. If they show improve and they say, you know what, we could beat the Lions twice, then I have the Bears winning this. And they're capable of doing that. I mean, if you look at this team top to bottom, and obviously this is all early. We haven't seen them practice or anything like that. We haven't seen them play. But just what they have and with Ben Johnson, what he can bring, if they can figure out ways to gel this team together and be productive and get on an early run with beating like the Lions, then I think that they could take the division. So with these odds and where the Bears are right now and seeing how much the Lions have lost with their coaching staff, the Packers are always kind of good, but I don't see them getting over that hump. And then the Vikings are just the Vikings. I would put my money on the Bears here.
Yeah, the Packers seem to be having some issues in their locker room all of a sudden at the end of the year and, here in the offseason.
Good.
Yeah, good is right. But Briggsy, I mean, Zoom's kind of sending us some mixed signals here in this show. He's got them 8-9 on the regular season, but now he's trying to tell us to spend our hard-earned money to bet the Bears at plus 415 to win the division.
Yeah.
What say you?
It sounds like Circa's paying him a lot of money. That sounds like it,
Yes, I mean they could do it.
They could.
And they could do it.
We're talking about best odds. That's why I was looking at the Steelers.
The odds,
like to make a buck.
I get it.
Right. So that's why
the Steelers didn't have a quarterback.
The Bears, kind of the same thing. Like if you're talking about the best place to try to make your money, maybe it is the Bears.
Put your money on the Bears.
And I also think the Vikings too, man. Don't sleep on Kevin O'Connell being able to get the most out of J.J. McCarthy in his first year. What do you think, Lance?
I think, week 1 is going to create a lot of excitement for either Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit, or Green Bay. Those that have been there before, those that have consistently been in the playoffs are the ones that will probably temper their emotions. Those that haven't or don't get there very often will be the towns that freak out and they say, "Whoa, we're going all the way to the playoffs." So hopefully it's one of those towns that don't get a lot of success like Chicago, so that we can go crazy for a week until the following week. But who knows?
I mean, if you look at the Lions, obviously they should have been in the Super Bowl last year,
Correct.
but they've lost a lot this year, and coaching matters. You know what I'm saying? We now have those coaches that they lost. So I feel like that's going to give the Bears an edge. I really like Caleb. I like the draft picks and all the things that they've done offensively for this team, especially the interior of their line as well, because that was such a huge problem. So if you take a look at all the things that they've done this offseason, and then you look at these odds, I'm going to put my money on the Bears to win it all.
Okay. All right. Well, that
I said what I said.
Another edition of our that wraps up another edition of our award-winning segment, Da Bets, here from presented by Circa Sports. Once again, download the Circa Sports app at circasports.com. Appreciate you guys as always as we wrap things up on CHGO Bears After Dark. Once again, make sure you're hitting the like button while you're hanging out. If you've tuned in this long, you like what you're seeing and enjoying the program, we appreciate your support always. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And hey,
if you have some questions, send them over.
Yeah, we'll get some questions in. Maybe that's a good idea for the next episode. I'll reach out to our diehards and I'll reach out on Twitter, and we'll do a segment or a show where we answer all your guys' questions and get some feedback from the fans.
Because the fans, I mean, shoot, you guys have a lot of questions that need answered.
I have a ton of questions.
We have the answers.
That's why, I mean, that's the only reason I got this job, was to hound you guys about your playing career, and I will continue to do that. So appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys have a good weekend. It's hot out here in Chicago. We finally got that Arizona weather, Lance. It's feeling
Thanks, Lance. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you.
All right.
Work on my tan.
Yeah, working on the tan, maybe on the golf game.
-0.
Me and Steven here in
SPF 1000.
Me and Steven here in about 5 days are playing Medina. Come on now.
Nice.
Let's go.
Dubs Dread?
No, that's Cog Hill.
That's Cog Hill.
Okay.
Yeah. We're
my
at
bad.
Medina.
I'm out here trying to act like I know golf.
Yeah, no. We'll be at Cog Hill later in the year for our second golf outing. We have another golf outing here coming up in just a couple weeks. You know, I might as well get one more plug in here and come out to our Cookout Classic at the Village Links of Glen Ellen. And you can go to allchgo.com/events if you want to come out for that. That's Friday, June 6th. You can even pay to play with guys like Adam Hogue and Mark Carman. And who wouldn't want to do that, of course? So those are available options to you guys if you want to get in on our Cookout Classic here for our first golf outing of the summer. So excited for that. So that wraps things up for today. Thank you again to everybody tuning in. Thank you to Stephen Nicholas for producing real hard. He's got like 7 shows he's got to produce here on this beautiful Thursday.
Always working.
Thank you to Jerry Azumah. As always, thank you, Lance Briggs, for working hard. And we'll catch you soon, and keep your head up. And always bear down. That's right.
We all silly like the mayor.